great. But okay, so what I was saying, I was sitting there talking for like 3 minutes. What I was saying was that Pastor Locke isn't as bad as everybody is making him out to be. He's not as hypocritical or whatnot, and I'm going to show you that today. I actually did verify Pastor Locke's story, and which I'm getting word that there's no video. I don't know. Let me make sure that there's actual video. There's no video. Okay, yeah, there is. I see it now. No audio. Okay. Thanks. That's better. Good. Okay, I'm really sorry, guys, about it not having any sound or anything like that. Try turning it off and on again. Okay, so what I was saying was that one of the things that I hate the most is when when people misrepresent the truth, either by mistake or intentionally. Like that's one of the things that really kind of grinds my gears, And so yesterday, Pastor Locke had a live Q&A session on his YouTube channel, in which I did, in fact, yeah, sound. I'm glad people are happy to hear me. But I did ask Pastor Locke a question while pestering his followers, apparently, saying, do you regret hiring a man convicted of sexual offense against a minor to lead your youth organization and then sit in front of Target telling them they are endangering children? And Greg Locke said that he'd answer my question, probably because he knows me. Or at least we've had conversations before, and he said I'll answer your question on the show. However, stop fussing with my followers on my page. And just to give you guys an idea of what he's talking about, like they had questions that they were asking. Like, for instance, this one right here, Whitney, she asked, how do I hear God speak to me when I pray? And I just said, yell really loud. Which I thought it was pretty, like, if I was religious, I think that I would even laugh at that shit, Oh yes, Daniel Tarr, it takes 5 seconds to be fooled and 5 minutes to investigate. That is the difference between half-assed truth and real truth. True. And admittedly, I have been espousing the idea that he's being hypocritical. Why the fuck do I keep dragging that? Yell really loud. Yeah. No, apparently I copied the one thing off a few times. Okay, and so then there was this one, which I'll actually highlight a little bit more. I've been told that I was a little too harsh on this. How can God-fear mother deal with a son in 40 come up, say he wants to be a woman, want to do surgery, where he will not talk to me because he don't hear the truth? I'm not sure which particular portion of Kentucky this woman hails from, but apparently it's the inbred part. But let's see. How can a God-fearing mother deal with a son in his 40s, come up and say he wants to be a woman and want to do the surgery, where he will not talk to me because he won't hear the truth? And I just said, maybe instead of telling him he's wrong and the way he's feeling is wrong, you should listen to him and support him. And she comes back with, sorry, in the Bible it states it wrong to be different sex that God give you. And so, like I said, I've been told that I'm a little bit, that I've been a little harsh with this, and it's, I have a napkin that says it's wrong to be a frigid bitch. We all have decisions to make as to which piece of cloth paper we follow. But like I said, Locke clarified this on a stream, and I want to play that particular portion for you now. So we're going to do that.
And then I have one on here, John Gleason. Hello, John. I know who John is. John is pretty famous on YouTube, and he has a program called The Godless Engineer, and we've had a great civil discussion before. And he asked a very interesting question, and I'm glad that he did, because I'm almost tired of having to answer this question, and it'll be great to do it on video. Do you regret hiring a man convicted of sexual offense against a minor to lead your youth organization and then sit in front of Target telling them that they are endangering children? Well, let's take that backwards. First of all, I don't apologize to Target, because Target is endangering our children. There's no way around that fact. And now the news is actually agreeing with this little uneducated hillbilly Tennessee preacher, because it's happening exactly the way that we said it was going to happen.
Okay, I do want to stop him right there, though. That it's not actually happening the way that they said it was going to happen. Like, you know, they've been spouting this idea that, you know, people are just going to start proclaiming their women and go into the restrooms and whatnot. Every instance that I have seen this happen, every instance, like if you look into the instances, every single instance has been somebody wanting to prove a point and being a dick about it. So they've been like basically going into the women's restrooms and saying, I'm allowed in here because now I'm a woman. And, you know, like there was one guy that dropped trowel right in the middle of a women's restroom and saying, I'm allowed to do this now. It's like, well, you're making a point. I mean, I don't see that as being very indicative of what you are espousing is going to happen by making the situation happen yourself. It's like, oh, this isn't happening enough, so we're going to go out and we're going to make it happen. That's not a true representation of what is actually happening. So that if let's see, Jennifer Stocking says if Joshua Furstein had a gastric bypass, you get Greg Locke. Yeah. True. So let's go. I wanted to clarify that, but let's go ahead and continue.
Now to go to the first part of the question, do you regret hiring a man convicted of sexual offense? Well, guess what? He was not convicted of sexual offense until we turned him in and had him convicted. We actually hired a friend. We didn't hire a pedophile. We didn't hire someone that was deviantly preying upon children. We hired a friend that had sex with a teenager in another church, in another state, 10 years before I even knew who he was. And when it finally came to light, when the young lady, now in her middle 20s, decided to break her silence, she sent at midnight a email to our church office stating that when she was 14 years old, she had sexual relations with this man who at that time was her youth pastor 10 or 11 years earlier. And our staff called me that night. We called him. He was immediately put on suspension without pay, and the next morning when the detective's office opened up, we called, turned him in, and the rest is history. And so we had absolutely nothing to do with what he did in another church with a victim 10 years prior to even having known him. And so the only reason he's convicted is because guess what? Global Vision, whoop, whoop, did the right thing. We are the heroes. We're not the bad guys, because we have a zero tolerance when it comes to pedophiles and perverts. And yes, it happens in the pulpit. And it doesn't just happen in Catholic churches. It happens in evangelical churches. It just happened, Grace Baptist Church, Knoxville, Tennessee. And listen, I stand against that as adamantly, if not more so, than I would stand against any other thing that you see me do Facebook videos about. So at the end of the day, our church is clean as a hound's tooth, and we're squeaky clean, because he would not even be caught or convicted had it not been for our church doing something and believing the victim rather than standing on the side of our friend. So hope that answers that.
Okay, so just to give you guys, you know, because I was skeptical of his story too at first. But the state in which it happened in, there's actually no limit on rape or whatnot. I checked that out. But then there's also this piece of evidence. It was a newspaper article from somewhere, Nashville in Tennessee. Let me get this pulled up here. If you guys can read that, it says, Greg Locke of Global Vision Bible Church in Mount Juliet says the senior pastor, not much As a senior pastor, not much surprises him anymore, but when he received a late email about one of his own fellow pastors, he was not only shocked but disturbed. So I'm going to have this particular, I'm going to go ahead and comment with this on the live stream now. But that is, proving that his story actually does check out, and indeed does check out. So I hope that